today's video is a topic that gets a whole lot of media hype and buzz, and because there's so much information out there, I think sometimes it can be confusing to know which sources we can trust. Now, some sources say that fats are very beneficial for us, and other sources say that we should be avoiding them altogether. And when there's such conflicting views on the same nutrition topic, I usually think it's because there's some truth to both sides of the story, and sometimes it's just media's way of sensationalizing things when we see those extremes. But really the question is, when it comes to fats and oils, what is the crucial, most basic information we need to know? Well, that's what I'm hoping we can explore in today's video. Now, despite what a lot of magazine covers and commercials might have you believe, fats are not only beneficial, they are necessary. They play so many important, crucial functions in the human body, and they also help our food taste good. But you know what they say about too much of a good thing, right? So we do need to kind of keep our eye on how much we consume and also the sources, because not all fats and oils are created equal. So today I'm kind of hoping we can talk about 3 different kinds of fats, and we're going to start off with the most wholesome, beneficial kind first, which is the unsaturated fat. Now, these ones are the ones that are found very commonly in a lot of plant-based foods, which is lucky for us. These can be found in most seeds and nuts and olives and avocados, and a famous type of unsaturated fat is the omega-3 fat, which we all know is super important for the functioning of our brain and our central nervous system. Now, we have a whole article on omega-3 fats on the blog, so if you're interested in learning more, you can check it out. Visit the link in the description box below. Generally speaking, these unsaturated fats are the ones that we want to consume the most often because they have the most favorable health outcomes. They've also been linked with decreasing the risk of developing heart disease, which is great. The second one of the fats that I wanted to talk about is saturated fats. These are the ones that are most commonly found in animal products, like meat and poultry and dairy products, but also some plant-based foods like coconuts and palm oils. Saturated fats are the ones that a lot of health authorities will tell us that we should decrease, limit, or avoid altogether. And there is some controversy around this and how much it can affect our heart health. We at Pickup Limes like to always err on the side of caution, saying that saturated fats should be consumed in moderation whenever possible. But you're probably wondering, well, where does coconuts fit into the spectrum of all of this? Because we do use coconut products a fair bit in our Pickup Limes recipes. Now, excess consumption of saturated fats has been linked to cardiovascular health problems, but there's little evidence of the negative effects for moderate to low intake. And if, like us, you've adopted a bit more of a plant-based diet, you're probably already excluding most foods that are high in saturated fats by default. So we don't mind using some whole food sources of coconuts like coconut flakes in our granola recipes. We also like using coconut milk, whether it's full fat or light fat, in our curries and in our soups. And when it comes to coconut oil, we like to use it like we would any other oil, so in moderation. So take, for example, our Nutella recipe. We used 1 tablespoon of coconut oil in that recipe, but it's going to make several servings, and it's something that we're going to be enjoying throughout the whole week. And now, if you're interested in learning more about coconut products and coconut oil, again, we have a whole article dedicated to it, the link of which is in the description box below. And finally, the third fat I was hoping we could talk about is trans fats. Now, these are the fats that we certainly want to avoid altogether whenever we can because of their effects on our heart health. Very few trans fats are actually naturally occurring in foods. Most are actually created in a process called hydrogenation, which turns oils into fats. So, for example, think of margarine. Trans fats are commonly found in foods that are deep fried or in baked treats. So how we can look for them best is to just read the ingredient list, avoiding anything that contains the name hydrogenated or shortening. So we've covered the types of fats, but what about sources of fats? And this is where the Pickup Limes philosophy is going to be applied again. We always recommend getting our nutrients from food over supplements or concentrates whenever we can, and the same applies to fats. So meaning we want to get it from whole food sources over something like oils whenever we can, because the whole food sources are going to give us these fibers and vitamins and minerals and antioxidants that we might not necessarily get in the oils. Whole food fat sources include avocados and nuts, seeds, nut and seed butters like peanut butter or almond butter, olives, and coconuts in any form. Now, this is not to say that you should stay away from oils altogether. They're useful useful when we're baking or cooking, our simple message is that moderation is important. So you'll notice that we use a bit of oil in our pickled limes recipes, but we also try to keep it to a minimum, leaving room to add more whole food fat sources instead. And this is a rule of thumb that we like to follow for the majority of what we eat at the Pickled Limes headquarters, but you also know that our philosophy of healthy eating is to nourish the cells and the soul. So that means we don't mind treating ourselves to occasional treats that might be higher in oils every so often. And if you are going to be using some oils in your cooking, remember that not all oils are created equal. Some of them have more beneficial nutrient profiles and other ones have higher smoke points, which means that we can heat them to higher temperatures. But we can kind of create these harmful compounds if we heat certain oils to temperatures beyond what they were meant for. Now, we again have created a really easy peasy PDF for you that you can get in the description box. This is a PDF that lets you know which oils to use in which circumstances. Now, the last thing I kind of wanted to share is just general tips about oil that we use here at Pickled Limes. The first one is that we try to store our oils in a cool place that's away from sunlight, which prevents it from going rancid. Rancid essentially just means the oil is going bad. We also try to make our own salad dressings and marinades as opposed to buying it from the store. That way we can control how much oil is added. And in place of drizzling oil on top of our salads, we like to just top our salads with nuts and seeds and avocados and olives. We also like to grill, steam, broil, and bake our foods when we're preparing it as opposed to frying it or deep frying it. And when we're caramelizing our onions, we use less oil and we just deglaze the pan using a splash of water. And some of you have mentioned that you also use a bouillon cube to help you do this. The final kind of thing that might help also is just learning to read those nutrition labels, checking out the saturated fat and trans fat content in a certain food, and maybe you can compare it to another one that's on the shelf at the grocery store and go for the one that offers less. Now, that was a lot of information to cover in a single video, and even still, we didn't touch on topics like cholesterol and heart disease and even diabetes. It's a pretty complex topic, but I hope that you know some of the basics for now. Maybe I hope that you learned something new. If I can summarize, it would be just to say fats are certainly beneficial for us. We want to get it from whole food sources over oils whenever we can, and some sources are just a little bit more wholesome. Things like unsaturated fat sources compared to saturated fat sources, and those trans fats we kind of want to eliminate altogether if we can. Now, if you enjoyed this video, it always shows us a lot of love and support when you give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like, let me know in the comments as well what your favorite whole food fat source is. For me, it's definitely olives. I snack on them all the time, but also nut butters. That's a hard one. Probably olives. So let me know what yours is in the comments. I'll see you down there. Wishing you an awesome week, and we'll see you in the next video.